Yeah. You're right, nobody would know what it was.
Yeah.
Well, we also eliminated one section of it from the zoning, so they couldn't even look it up anymore, so.
These are the most worthless easels. Okay, so housing ed.
Multi-family housing.
Multi-family. What about it?
I think the question I have is what forms it should take. If multi-family housing were in your neighborhood, what form would be the most palatable? Now you figure out how, I don't know how the question should be phrased, but.
Again, form is kind of a word like development, and you really know how to respond to it.
So we have to give them choices or not. Would we say, would you prefer?
Are you looking for something more basic, like, we can refine these later, we all know we want possibly something about it.
Yeah, I mean,
we know we want to address it, so maybe we don't need to ask the question.
You know, I want to address it particularly in R20 as to whether people would rather see it be large houses that are divided, whether they'd be happy with townhouses, whether they'd be okay with apartment buildings. In other words, if it came to R20, what forms would they be, you know, like 1 to 5, which would be their least and most favorite?
Keep in mind though that the question is everybody in town, so other than the fact that you may be able to glean the R20 responses, you're really going to get responses from people in all the different zones. So
Well,
I think it's still a good question.
Maybe everybody in other zones would have an opinion,
No, I mean,
because the town character is everybody's.
No, I agree, but it just would be.
That's okay with me.
We're not, it's
What
not
else
going to
we
be
get?
focused on just R20, it's going to be a town-wide.
If you did that, you probably want some general description of where our term is. A lot of people have no idea where they live.
I guess I'm a little concerned about just focusing on R20, I don't know why we're having
I don't
a discussion on
see
R20, because I
why
think
we're
that R8
asking,
is valid.
this mother wouldn't have required. I don't see why we're asking people what they want. I think we should be asking people how they're gonna go about
It's going to
setting
happen
their
where?
community goals.
I agree.
You know,
I agree.
in other words, what kind of housing do you want next door to you?
I
I want some birds and bees living next door to me. I don't want any
think it actually is a very good question to ask, because we've just been through affordable housing where the neighbors went absolutely batshit with
And
something
they're
we
gonna
were
do it
expecting
again,
them to go ahead
they're gonna do it
with.
again, they're gonna do it again.
They may do it again, but wouldn't it be
I
nice
think
to find out
we
there's
have
something
to
that's
spell this
more?
out in a survey that we are,
Yeah.
here's what's gonna happen in our community. We're gonna have low-income housing. How are we gonna do it? And, you know, let the people say, well, if we've gotta have it, then we ought to do it this way.
Isn't that what I just asked?
No, you're
What
giving
form?
them an opportunity to say, I don't want it.
Well, you could say, you
That
could
was the
phrase it
question.
in a way by saying, you know, we have a mandated goal of increasing the affordable housing count in the town of 130 odd units, whatever the number is, and then give them 3 or 4 choices. In which ways do you think we can achieve this? Multifamily, expanding existing single-family homes, blah, 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 you know, give them 3 or 4 choices.
Very good, Tom. I agree that we need to give them choices. We need to specify a list, and whether we have them do it in order or whether they just check it.
Would you mind to give some suggestions and leave space for comments, additional comments?
Yeah.
I just want to do some scientific polling that forces them to a conclusion by asking the same question in like 4 different areas, and so that you can jump over their biases, find out what they would really accept.
Mike, we have
I'd
to
like
have
to hear more about that.
something short enough. I mean, if we did that for a lot of questions, we would never get through. Our last one was long enough. We did get a good response. It'd be nice with it. But
We also asked a whole page of questions about water, which we're not going to be asking this time.
I mean, I
I
don't
think
know,
we
I
have
don't
no
know how to do this, but
I think this is important.
people that
it's
have, people that write polls, they have certain ways they go about actually getting at the information they need. And perhaps we need somebody like that. Somebody to help us write these questions so we can really get the true answer of what the pain threshold is the people of Jamestown? Because this is obviously going to involve something next door to your house that you don't want. You're going to go down to the meeting and pound on the desk. And so we're just going to go on thwarting ourselves with this. If our true goal is affordable housing in Jamestown, then we have to lay it out for them, or we have to give them a series of painful choices and say, which one of these painful choices are you going to accept?
I think what we just talked about, how to achieve affordable housing, with a list of what the different ways that are available are to find, and whether, I like the idea of people ordering from, least to most or whatever, so they put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It gives you some sense of which ones they're going to be more likely to accept, and a room for comment where they say none of the above. But I don't think we should try to get too fancy about it. I find that I really resent polls that are trying to direct me, and we get tons of those.
I don't want to direct them. I want to find out what they're going to accept.
I'm trying to do the same thing, right?
No.
Okay, I think we have that captured.
Yeah, the issue, I think, Mike's getting at is, if you ask the same question in 4 different ways, you get around, sometimes people get biased when they read it one way, they're not biased when they read it the other way. It's really asking for the same information that they're informing, or different questions, style. But you're right, that they're 4 times as long
Here's a question.
The balance.
How important is this? Because one of the things this survey could do would be to, in a way, let people know that affordable housing is coming to Jamestown, and as you said, and just what is your pain threshold? If it shows up 4 different times, people are going to get that it's coming, one way or the other. If it shows up in 4 different ways.
Well, I think that's pretty easy. I mean, a lot of the questions, because it's not self-explanatory, people don't necessarily know what's going on in town. There was always kind of an explanatory phrase or sentence at the beginning. Affordable housing is mandated by the state and is approved in the Jamestown zoning ordinance for development of accessory apartments, multifamily dwellings, duplexes, and then you ask the question. So they understand that it's coming.
Right.
I mean, I think that's how you do it. At least that's one way to do it.
Sounds good.
Okay, do you approve of tax credits to people who develop affordable housing? Tax credits or other incentives?
Subsidy.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the plan.
Then, the requirement for affordable housing is you've got to set it aside for 30 years. Right? That's
Or
correct.
longer.
Or longer. Would it be worth asking what the real pain threshold for that is? If you got a piece of property that you would designate affordable, how long would you be willing to set it aside for? And give them a lot, 5, 10, 15, 20, or 5, 10, 20, 30?
Doesn't the state mandate 30 years?
It doesn't, that doesn't mean the state can't change that if they find that the affordable housing initiative isn't working. Because 30 years is a lifetime for most property owners.
I think you understand that the current mandate is 30 years. Do you think this should be changed to something like 5? Okay.
Please change that. 30 years in current mandate should be something.
That's a low threshold for housing, because to make it affordable, you usually go for a federally financed mortgage, which probably has a 40-plus lifespan, and HUD will hold the heat to the environment, or the state housing agency will hold it to the environment.
But the 30 years is one more thing.
I also added a sentence saying that, and incentives for development. I guess what I'm really thinking about here is there some kind of a carrot that we could give them that they would say, yeah, you know what, if you gave me $10,000, this is what we're talking about for the accessory apartments. If you give me $10,000 to help bring my accessory apartment up to code compliance and create it, then yeah, I'll put a 30-year deed restriction on that. Or if you give me a tax incentive, or if you